Hello everyone, Mr. Matemero once again. This time we are learning about the labor market and we are focusing on the questions that are related to the labor market. Now, before we talk about the questions, I just want to remind you about what we discussed about in the other video. Who is supplying the labor? These are the households. Who is demanding the labor? These are the companies, the businesses, the firms. Okay? This is our wage level. At a wage level of 650 Rand, 350 people are employed. 350 people are supplying labor and 350 are demanded by the businesses. Okay, now when the wage level increases to 708 Rand, what happens now is people are more motivated. The number of people looking for the jobs increases to 500. So the supply is now 500, but the demand is 200. It is now expensive for the firms to employ more people, so they decrease the number of the workers. Now we move on to question 1. Identify the wage rate at which the economy is in balance. Here we are being asked to identify the equilibrium wage rate. This is the same thing. Identify the wage rate at which the economy is in balance. It's just as good as saying identify the equilibrium wage rate. Okay, we need the graph once again, so I have to put it back here. Equilibrium wage rate. This is our equilibrium point. So our equilibrium wage rate becomes what? 650 Rand. Okay, I hope that is clear. Question 2. What is the labor surplus as seen in the graph? So we are bringing back the graph here. Labor surplus. How do we calculate labor surplus? Okay, we ignore this figure, the one that talks about the equilibrium, because there is no surplus here. Surplus, we get it after the equilibrium. So this is the supply of labor. It increased to 500. But what has been demanded is 200. So the formula is quantity supplied minus quantity demanded. Labor surplus is equal to quantity supplied minus quantity demanded. So the quantity supplied is 500, but what has been demanded? 200. So what is 500 minus 200? So our labor surplus is 300. What it means is there are 300 extra people in the labor market. 300 people who are not getting the job. That's the surplus. Question 3. What does the term labor market mean? Labor market is often referred to or is also known as the job market. It is the supply and demand of labor, with workers providing the supply and employers providing the demand. You get your 2 marks for defining labor market. When they say what does the term labor market mean, it's just as good as saying define the term labor market. Question 4. What effect will a growing population have on the market? Okay, we have our graph here. When there is an increase in population, what it means is more people are going to be looking for the job. So we might end up having, probably just guessing, maybe this is now 700 people looking for the jobs. 700 people join the labor market. So what it means is there is a shift of the supply curve from SS to S1, S1. So there's a rightward shift of the supply curve. As the size of the labor force grows, the supply curve will shift to the right. There will be a higher demand for goods and services as well as labor. Right. Why we say there is going to be a higher demand for goods and services? When there is an increase in population, what it means is these people will need more goods and services. So there will be an increase in the demand for the goods and services. Once there is a higher demand for goods and services, it means there is more pressure in the supply side since they have to supply more. So in order to supply more, there is a need for the business to employ more people. Question 5. List and explain the conventions that must be followed in order to improve the working conditions. Convention 1, freedom of association and protection of the right to organize convention. The collective bargaining convention. Okay, a person can be a member of any authorized organization or associate with any individual or a group of people. Okay, we move on to the next one. Minimum age convention. Worst forms of child labor convention. Aid for children through education and assistance with training and employment possibilities for their families. Thirdly, discrimination convention. Equal remuneration convention. Discrimination that is illegal must be eradicated. Here, you know what happens sometimes is people get discriminated for who they are. Sometimes you find that in the same company, a female and a male are doing the same type of job, but a male gets paid more than a female. That is discrimination. So there should be equal remuneration. Fourth, forced labor convention, the abolition of forced labor convention. Forced labor convention, the abolition of forced labor convention. To avoid forced labor, all essential precautions must be taken to ensure that the salaries are paid on time and that people are protected. Question 6. What impact might wages have on labor market? We need a graph once again. What impact might wages have on the labor market? Well, it depends on whether there is an increase in the wage or there is a decrease in the wage. But when the wage level drops, let's say from 780 to 650, demand for labor is going to increase. So we see that the wage rate was high, it was 750 rand and only 200 people were employed. But when the wage rate drops, it is cheaper for the companies to run the businesses. The cost of production is now better. So they employ more people. So in this case, they are now employing 350 people. What happens when the wage level increase? If the wage level was 650 and it increased to 780, what is going to happen now? Well, we can see that at a wage level of 650, 350 people were employed. But when it increases, only 200 people were employed. So less labor is demanded when the wage levels increase. More labor is demanded when the wage levels decline. Thank you for watching. Feel free to request a video of any topic of your choice and consider it done. Don't miss the next lesson. Goodbye.